Hello, Lot here. Just wanting you all to know that this episode has been previously recorded and posted. So I hope you enjoy it or re-enjoy it.
Welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Game of Thrones and a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings towards our two favorite characters, Jaime and Brienne.
There was a bear, all black and brown and covered in hair. From there to here, from here to there, the bear, the maiden fair.
Hey everyone, I'm Guile. I tweet at Door Podcast, and tonight I'm joined by Chicky.
Hey, I am Chicky, and you can find me at the Chikrin on Twitter.
And Lot.
Hi, I'm Lot, and you can find me at Lady of Tarth-post on Tumblr.
And we have a couple of our occasional gents with us tonight. We have Devin.
Hi, I'm Devin. You can find me at GD Harpo on Twitter or Tumblr.
And Jake.
I'm Jake, and you can't find me.
Sweet. That's
We have so many of these now. Fuck
These
you. No,
people.
I won't tell you where I am.
So tonight's episode, we're starting off a new series. We've decided to take a little bit of a hiatus from Tyrion's chapters, and one of the things that I know you guys. One of the things that we're going to do is a couple of years ago we put together a survey about people's favorite chapters in the entirety of A Song of Ice and Fire, and tabulated the results. And I actually kept track of what everyone on the podcast picked. And we went back and looked at what chapters we chose as our favorites that weren't ones that we already talked about. So basically,
Not Jaime and Brienne chapters.
no Jaime, Brienne, Cersei, or Catelyn chapters. And oddly enough, and we probably should have thought about this, no one had any Tyrion chapters in their top 10. So,
Damn it.
Should have been an indicator.
damn. So we're calling this series our favorite chapters, and I think we have 5 or 6 of them planned for the next 5 or 6 episodes, and then we'll pick them up later on in the year. So our chapter tonight that we're going to cover is Jon II in A Dance with Dragons. And so, as you can imagine, there's spoiler warnings for literally all of A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, and our standard trigger warnings for rape. I don't know about you guys, but it was really kind of exciting to talk about Jon. Like, he's, really the main character, and we've never been in his head before. So it was, really, frankly, it was very exciting to be out of Tyrion's head and into Jon's head, but just talking about things, we'll talk about things that I don't think, we've ever talked about on this podcast before.
That's because I feel like hell has probably frozen over. Like, I can't believe that Lot volunteered to be on this episode.
I don't know how it happened. I think this is a clerical error, because I'm like, I am not excited.
Oh,
I know. I'm like,
Put me back in Tyrion's head, please.
oh my God, and I have something special, Lot, just for you. Well, not just for you, but mainly for you in the notes of this chapter. So
Okay.
I hope that you enjoy it.
I can come around. All right.
Come around, yeah. So you guys ready?
Guile, you didn't say, but this was one of mine, right? I assume that's how it got here.
I think it was your top non-Jaime or Brienne or Cersei or Cat chapter.
That's about right. Yeah, okay, perfect.
And yes, this does mean that there's a very strong possibility that we'll be covering a Dany chapter, not this spring, but sometime soon.
Oh, God, karma.
Also not me.
Ever. You guys will like it. So anyway, we are in Jon II, A Dance with Dragons, and the scene opens on Jon. He is ruminating on this letter he doesn't really want to sign. Dolorous Ed brings Gilly in for an audience, and she starts to kneel, but Jon tells her that she doesn't have to kneel for him. That's just for kings. Foreshadowing. He asks Gilly about the babies, hers and Mance Rayder's, and you kind of get the sense that Jon is steeling himself or what he's going to force Gilly to do. And she thinks he's going to tell her something about Mance, as we find out that Val's been begging Stannis for his life. Another scene that it would have been nice to actually see, I feel like. But Jon tells her that, no, it's not about Mance. It's about his baby and how it's up to Gilly to save him. And kind of what's curious is we don't get to read Jon actually telling Gilly what he wants her to do. We just see the aftermath of that conversation and then his explanation of why. which is that.
Oh, don't you feel like it's just that she figures it out without him saying?
Oh, I thought that I don't. I took it as we just don't see that moment. That's interesting though, because I never.
I always assumed it was just she just is, fairly bright and just is like shit.
Yeah, same. That's what I thought reading it. I
mean, it makes more sense because it felt weird to me that we didn't see it. So I totally read it a different way, but I think your guys' way probably makes a little bit more sense. So, Jon's explanation is really that someday soon Melisandre is going to be looking for King's blood, and Mance's son will be in grave danger. And, Gilly knows, she gets it, but obviously she doesn't want to leave her son behind. And, we hear Jon, I think this is his first instance of where he's thinking kill the boy, and he forces himself to stay cold to her pleas and tells her that if she takes both boys, the King's men will be after her. And, there's this tiny, it's like a one-sentence passage that kind of kills me. And it's, we saved him, Sam and me. Please, me, Lord, we saved him from the cold. And it's just, it kind of gets back to that everything that Gilly herself has been through up to this point, everything that she survives and, really, saved her son from, and now she has to give him up.
Yeah,
and it's just...
I hated Jon so much in the scene. I am one of those women that would have shrieked at him, "Fuck you, Jon! Fuck you!" I would not be able to do this. No.
Do you think that she went along with it because she saw it as necessary, or because she's just kind of used to being bossed around, essentially?
That's why. She's traumatized. She's been a victim her whole life. She just...
Yeah, because it's not... I mean, I think...
And he knows that.
I don't know. She
and he
cares
played
about
on that.
The baby. She cares
she cares about Mance's son, too. But, why wasn't she thinking, well, fuck this. I'm just getting out of here and riding south by myself, whether that would have been really stupid, that is sort of a natural reaction.
She's been taking care of this baby since it was literally born. I mean, she's been nursing it herself. I mean, I think she's invested in its well-being to a point where she's probably, could never see it die, I would imagine. I mean, I think it's because she cares. I mean, she hates it. Obviously, it's horrific, but I don't think it's just fear. I think it's...
No, I don't think it's just...
No,
fear.
I don't think she fears Jon, but I do think she's in the habit of complacency.
I would tip the scales more towards she understood that it was necessary, but there is definitely still a factor of... I mean, it's a little of both, really, but...
Yeah, that's what I felt, that it was just a little of both, but more that she feels it's necessary. That's kind of where I land on it.
Yeah, because she's so tough at the going away scene. She's telling Jon, she's like, you're going to take care of my fucking kid.
Yeah.
The way that I want him taken care of. So that's why I feel like it's like she just knows it's literally the only way to save this kid's life. But it is absolutely horrific. I mean, as if poor Gilly hasn't been through a fucking
Right. I mean, she's... Yeah. So Jon promises her that they'll teach her son to ride, hunt, and fight, and even to read and write. And that when he's old enough, they'll tell him the truth, and he'll be free to find her. And you'll make a crow of him, is what Gilly accuses him of. And she's not wrong. And I thought, this was something that, I think that, frankly, there's people on this podcast that they're the ones that even make me think about this. That, Craster is this piece of shit, but, the wildlings have their own culture. And, both Gilly's son and Mance's son are really denied their cultural heritage here. And it's kind of like, yes, there's larger threats at the time, but we sort of dismiss that among Gilly's many complaints that, it's really important. We see it in that goodbye scene that it's really important to her that her son is raised as, free folk. Her son is, she doesn't want him raised as a kneeler. She wants him raised as, who he is. I thought that this was your thing that you could grab onto.
I'm just so mad at Jon. I can't even think. I don't know. I can't imagine being in Gilly's position and going quietly into that good night. I'd be a shrinker.
I mean, on the other hand, I'm not that mad at Jon. I mean, what's Jon supposed to do? He knows Melisandre is going to see almost any plot that he comes up with, and this is by far his best option to get the baby away from the wall. I get it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's his idea either. This is Aemon's idea.
Aemon, yeah.
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 He's coming off scot clean. He's got like I'm just old and blind. Like, no one's blaming him for this shit.
And by another baby.
I just looked, Kyle, and you were right. He does tell her. He does tell her the idea. It's not. She doesn't just figure it out.
Oh, he does.
Kyle, you were right.
Okay.
Huh?
Sweet.
What was that again? You cut out. Oh, sorry. It wasn't even me. Why am I doing that? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
So, Gilly leaves and Sam is next for his audience, and it kind of strikes me this is one of those chapters, and George writes a lot of these where like the POV sits somewhere and then all these people come to visit him, and it's totally because it's just harder and annoying to write those transitions of like the character whose POV it is moving to different
I never
places.
thought of that before, but you're so fucking right.
So that's why it's like we've read a couple of Tyrion chapters like this, and there's a Jaime chapter like this. Yeah, it's I don't want to write them walking around.
Oh God.
It's like the writing equivalent of what is the guy who does like the 3-hour long YouTube reviews of the Star Wars films?
Oh God, I would not know. I'm the wrong person.
What?
Oh, I know who you mean.
His review of the last of the prequel films, where his basic critique is that George Lucas didn't want to like walk around, so all the characters sit on couches and talk. It's the writing equivalent of that. So anyway, Sam comes in, and Jon shows Sam the letter, and it's we find out that it's a letter to Tommen. And Jon, tells Sam about meeting, our sweet little golden kitten king at Winterfell, and how he was like chubby and like kind of unfavorably compares him to Bran. And Sam gives him this odd look, which we don't know, or Jon doesn't know why, but we know because Sam knows that Bran is really alive. One of those little interesting things the audience knows more than Jon. And we find out that this letter is it's like this lame-ass explanation of the Iron Throne, reaffirming the Night's Watch neutrality. And they're like, oh, Stannis is helping them, but we haven't pledged ourselves to him. We've just given him food, shelter, and castles. like, you guys really broke your vow of neutrality. But I think the thing is like, no one in King's Landing could possibly give a shit. And... they're talking about this, and they're talking about Tywin in the present tense. So one of the questions I had was, and I don't know if we know this or if we're just going to have conjecture about it, but is this happening in the timeline before Tywin is killed? Because I know that it overlaps a bit. Or is this just the news hasn't made it up to the wall yet?
I think it's actually before.
Okay.
I believe. But don't quote me. I haven't looked at that timeline in a long time.
Yeah, because wouldn't Ravens go out, if the Hand of the King's dead? I mean, I feel like that'd get there
pretty quickly.
And, Jon and Sam, they're genuinely worried that Tywin would, like, march up north and, like, take over the Night's Watch. And, it makes you wonder, would they have been much more overt in their support of Stannis if they knew that Tywin was dead, or if they had really a clear idea of, what's happening in King's Landing? Because, I mean, genuinely speaking, I feel like they could have completely declared allegiance to Stannis, and the Iron Throne wasn't going to do a damn thing about it.
I mean, yeah, but would they know that? I don't know.
I mean, they don't have any idea, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. But another thing I was going to say about the timeline is you kind of have to keep in mind, we're actually, these are also the beginning chapters of Feast. This is, right. One of Sam's first chapters in Feast that we actually see from Jon's perspective this time. So, yeah, I think we're definitely backward. But, yeah, I don't know. It is so funny to think about how when Jon is thinking about the kings, he's thinking about Stannis and Tywin. He doesn't even really, he thinks about Tommen for a minute, but Tywin's really the king.
Yeah.
But would he know enough to know that the rest of the Lannisters couldn't get their acts together well enough to be a threat to anybody? I don't know.
Well, they could have sent proxies, though. I mean, they could have induced the Boltons or somebody up there to, march up to the wall if they had, because the North seems to take the Night's Watch pretty seriously, and if they were basically declaring for kings and breaking their oaths and shit like that, I mean, what value would they? You know what I mean? I feel like you could sell to the North, basically getting them to go against the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch is fucking around.
I feel like the last thing on earth Roose Bolton would be interested in doing is highlighting to everyone that, oh hey guys, Ned Stark's bastard is Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Maybe we should fuck him up. Like, no, I think
point.
you want to be like, yeah, this chick right here, it's the only connection to Ned you have. Like, this is it.
But it's funny how they're already kind of vaguely alluding to Ramsay as the wild card in the Bolton camp. I think people know Roose is maybe a little more irrational, but it seems like everybody kind of knows that Ramsay is absolutely,
Yeah.
off his goddamn rocker.
So Jon decides he's going to sign this letter and tells Sam to give it to Aemon to send, and then he tells Sam that he's sending Gilly away and asks Sam for a report on what he's learned about the others. And, Sam talks about, like, opening these books and the pages are crumbling away as he's touching them. And, he can only find records of, like, 600 commanders of the Night's Watch, not, 998, like in theory they are. Which really, like, 600 commanders, like, that's a hell of a lot of history. Like, just for the record, those are some huge books that he's looking at. He sees all these mentions of dragon glass and dragon steel, which Sam and Jon both think must mean Valyrian steel. And then Jon wants to know if Sam's found anything on who the others are, where they come from, and what they want. And it's like, yeah, us too, Jon. But Sam hasn't found anything, and he needs more time. So Jon tells him time's up. I
like how bored Jon is getting when, like, Sam gets all know-it-all-y with, like, what he's discovered. It's like, yeah, anything useful?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's.
But what he's omitting. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's because I know in the Feast for Crows, there's a Sam chapter that tells the same thing from his perspective, and I think if you read both of them, like, they each kind of overlook different parts of the conversation. So it's kind of interesting to see that, like, there's parts of his dialogue, Sam's dialogue, that's missing here because Jon just kind of glazes over. But you can, like, read it in that other chapter. Yeah.
Well, and I'm pretty sure there's something that kind of is more Jon as a Targaryen foreshadowy in it from Sam's side. It's been a long time, guys, but I think that's where those hints are. It's funny how they're not in Jon's chapter; they're in Sam's.
There was also that. Oh, I'm sorry, Guile.
No, go ahead.
There was also that brief bit where Jon kind of just glibly states, "Oh, so I just convince everybody with a Valyrian blade to join the fight." I'm like, yeah.
Pretty much. Like, that's the plan.
There is a reason these great houses all have this sword.
So Jon tells Sam that time's up because he's going to send him south with Gilly and Master Aemon, and he's sending them to Old Town. And he explains that Aemon needs to go for his own safety, and that this will give Sam a chance to send Gilly and her son to Horn Hill. And then, even better, Sam can study at the Citadel. And Jon really thinks Sam should be thrilled with this deal, but Sam is upset because he knows his father would be horrified that his son has entered a life of servitude, which I always found kind of confusing because I don't really understand how the life of a maester is servitude, yet life in the Night's Watch isn't. Like, it just seems like, boy, Randall's really...
One has like a vaguely heroic, like, patina. I mean, granted, it's pretty rough at this stage of the game, but I mean, at one time it was an honorable thing to do.
And one will get you killed faster, so.
Yeah, this is true.
Vaguely heroic patina. I love that, Chicky. That's beautiful.
I need to write that down, please.
I was like, you gotta think of, like, the duties you're performing, too, as a maester, right? You're, like, lancing some fat shit's boils and,
like Sam. So there's this there's this classic passage, not one of the classic passages in this chapter. Kill the boy, Jon thought. The boy in you and the one in him. Kill them both. Kill the both of them, you bloody bastard. You have no father, only brothers, only us. Your life belongs to the Night's Watch, so go and stuff your small clothes into a sack, along with anything else you care to take to Old Town. You leave an hour before sunrise. And here's another order. From this day forth, you will not call yourself a craven. You faced more things this past year than most men face in a lifetime. You can face the Citadel, but you'll face it as a sworn brother of the Night's Watch. I can't command you to be brave, but I can command you to hide your fears. You said the word, Sam, remember? I'll try. You won't try. You will obey. Like, Jon kind of like Yodaing there at the end.
I thought that was more like a Stannis-like line.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I mean,
well, and I love how Jon is just like, God, do you know what I just fucking put Gilly through? Quit whining.
Oh, right?
like yeah, because I mean, there is like him being, like on paper, this should be Sam's dream. He gets to go do what he wanted to do. He gets to
Be with his
keep
woman.
this connection with Gilly, and he kind of gets to play the hero in sending Aemon south, and Sam is like so hesitant about it. So Sam leaves and Jon remembers Aemon's final advice, and it's about Egg, and it's like the classic passage, so I feel like we're morally obliged to read it.
You are.
Jon was tired. I need sleep. He had been up half the night poring over maps, writing letters, and making plans with Master Aemon. Even after stumbling into his narrow bed, rest did not come easily. He knew what he would face today, and found himself tossing restlessly as he brooded on Master Aemon's final words. "Allow me to give my lord one last piece of counsel," the old man had said. "The same counsel that I once gave my brother when we parted for the last time. He was 33 when the great council chose him to mount the Iron Throne, a man grown with sons of his own, yet in some ways still a boy. Egg had an innocence to him, a sweetness we all loved. Kill the boy within you, I told him the day I took the ship for the wall. It takes a man to rule. An Egg, not an egg. Kill the boy and let the man be born." The old man felt Jon's face. "You are half the age that Egg was, and your own burden is a crueler one, I fear. You will have little joy of your command, but I think you have the strength in you to do the things that must be done. Kill the boy, Jon Snow. Winter is almost upon us. Kill the boy and let the man be born." Which, yeah, I mean, it's, like, I don't, it's really good advice, but oh, is it terrible, right? Like, Jon is what, 16?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, ugh. It's hard, it's heartbreaking because when we, just think of like some of the very first chapters we get at Jon at the Wall, and how when he finds out that Bran's gonna live, that's what he's, twirling Tyrion through the air, and he's just like he has a light heart, even despite his upbringing and everything that's still in him then. And, now he's like fallen in love and, saw her killed and, I mean, just, lost friends, lost his father, his brothers, it's just like he talks about the things that have happened to Sam or that Sam's done in the last year and then think of what Jon's done. And now that's like,
Yeah.
You get to like, now you've done like all this other stuff and now you get to be the one like doing it to other people basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, he's having to hurt people. I mean, there's a pretty direct parallel between, the fact that he has had to, he's playing this game of hiding infants and stuff, much in the same way that, Ned hid him as a baby. I mean, like, he's having to make these really difficult decisions that, are going to have repercussions, for years and years and like totally affect and frankly can ruin people's lives. I mean, like the power that you can see he's trying to kind of grapple with the power that he knows that he has and that he has to just kind of turn off like his emotional reaction to some of this stuff or he just can't deal with it. I mean, it is really heartbreaking.
Yeah. And you can just see throughout the chapter how much he took Kill the Boy to heart.
Right.
Because every time he has to like be stern, like especially with Gilly, like I don't know how many times he says it, just like thinks it as like the conversation he's having with her. But like one of the times where he says, like he thinks kill the boy, and like when he tells that you will take him, or I promise you the day that they burn Dallas boy, yours will die as well. And that just like that made me think of Jaime with Edmure and the threat he made to him.
Oh, totally.
There, yeah.
That's a really good point. Boy, we should just be like assuming that Jon would have done it and actually, in fact, did it. Like, we shouldn't even take it as a threat. We should condemn him, we should condemn him for the words right now. Also, just as a complete aside, can we just break down the egg thing? So he was 33 when he was king, and so we know Dunk was like 10 years older, so Dunk was 43. So unless Dunk was part of Maker's Kingsguard, which seems unlikely because that would really limit, I think, the Dunk and Egg stories. I mean, Dunk was married at least once, right? Like, all this Dunk littering bastards all over the place. No, Dunk was, like, married probably several times before he entered the Kingsguard. Just for the record.
And that's just conjecture. We really have no goddamn idea.
Right, and nor will we ever. But just like,
Oh, no,
just wanted to say he was like 43
Right.
years old. So,
Can we do is it too early to do a reread of Duncan
oh,
Egg?
wouldn't that be lovely?
Oh.
I was on that
just-
first episode y'all did. That was my first time.
Oh,
Aw.
Was it really? Oh,
Yeah, it
God.
was.
First time. Sorry.
oh, reminiscing. So anyway, so Jon patrols the wall and he learns that Stannis sent some envoys, which include Justin Massey, who's like a cult. He's like the Boba Fett of
Yeah,
the
totally.
Stop with the
Fire fandom.
Star Wars references. You're killing me,
Sorry.
guys.
But yet you know it's a Star Wars reference.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
like that proves
It's
it
called
enough.
oversaturation.
And so they're, his envoys are going south, so presumably they're going to the mountain clans. And then he wakes up at the hour of the wolf to see Sam, Gilly, and Aemon off on their journey. And Master Aemon mentions that he marked a passage in a book called the Jade Compendium for him. And this is the thing, I had to look this up, because this is like the interesting thing with doing these one-off chapters, is sometimes you have to go back and forth and try to figure out what we should know from it. So this one, this chapter we find out later, or this book we find out later that Aemon marks for him is that it's a note that Lightbringer produces heat. And, notably, we know that Stannis' sword is cold to the touch. So, dun, dun, dun. So we've kind of planted the seed for Jon to have some major doubts about who or what Stannis is at this point.
Well, and I love it that we know that Aemon has kind of, started to hear a little bit about Dany, and that he's already having thoughts about who Dany might actually be
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in that context.
So Jon, promises Gilly that they won't name her son until he's 2, and then Sam and Ed say goodbye, and it's this great Ed line. And to you, Sam, said Dolores Ed, your boat's not like to sink, I don't think. Boats only sink when I'm aboard. Which, he's so
Fucking
great.
love it.
I know, he's the best.
Can I tell
And then,
you,
of
though,
course-
this real thing about naming a child past 2
Yeah.
is a real thing. I went to a heritage village in the summer, and I think it was 5 years old was like the typical age, like the prior to the turn of the century, that you waited to name your child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so many of them died.
So my
Yeah,
husband
can't jinx it.
constantly, like with my 7-year-old, he's like, I like her. Let's give her a name. Like,
Oh my god.
Wow.
yeah, I know.
That's just
Little
that's
morbid
harsh,
humor.
man.
That's why I married him.
So then we get to Sam and Jon's goodbye, which is, again, heartbreaking. They're talking about Gilly, and she has more courage than she knows, said Sam. So do you, Sam. Have a swift, safe voyage, and take care of her and Aemon and the child. The cold trickles on his face reminded Jon of the day he'd bid farewell to Robb at Winterfell, never knowing that it was for the last time. And pull your hood up. The snowflakes are melting in your hair. And I'm not crying. There's just something in my eye.
Somebody did a gift set of this once with the line from that chapter in A Game of Thrones, and it's so sad.
I don't give a shit. I give a shit about Gilly and her goddamn baby. I'm sorry. Ugh.
No, I feel bad for Gilly, too. Are you kidding? That's what I was talking about, though. She's so tough here. She's
Right.
just like, you are gonna stick to what you told me.
She's tougher than me.
Well, and I mean, some of us might have written an 18 post thread about how Gilly is the strongest character in the series. Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that she was in, Davos Fingers does a Song of Madness 64 character tournament, and I don't think that Gilly was in it, which is kind of a.
Really?
I don't think so. Or maybe,
Oh, God,
I'm trying
maybe
to
she
think,
was.
and I don't think she was.
If she was, she didn't make it past the first round. I think she's a bit.
Yeah, definitely didn't. If she was in it, she didn't make it past first round.
She's definitely underrated. Although I don't know if you guys have heard,
Agreed.
but there's chatter about them doing a all Frey tourney this summer, which should be really fun.
Oh my god.
Wait, how is she ending up in that? Just like
She's not. It's just total aside.
Let's just put her in there. Can we do a write-in?
Yeah, all Frey and Gilly. Anyways, back on task here. So Sam leaves and Jon gets to his next task, which involved, basically manning other areas of the wall. He sends a short man named Bedwick with a small group of men to refurbish and man Icemark. And, Bedwick generally seems like pretty up to the task. I think, like, other than he's short, apparently, which, hey, I'm totally cool with that. I don't know why I'm taking it so personally.
Is this your exact height, Guile?
Well, how tall was Bedwick?
I think you said 5 foot and a hair or something like that.
Yeah, a hair and a half over 5 feet.
I'm a hair taller than that, but yeah, Bedwick and I are eye to eye. So he gives the same orders for Greyguard, and Janos Slynt basically tries to nope the fuck out of it. And he's super rude and arrogant about refusing to obey this direct order, and very comfortable that his friends in the Night's Watch and from King's Landing will protect him. And Jon, kind of gives him the night to change his mind, but the next morning he's still, like, yucking it up and being a dick about it. And, when put to the test, though, all of Slynt's friends fall away. They're really not willing to put their lives on the line for him. And Jon orders his men to take Slynt to the wall. And then he mentally goes through his options. Should he send him to an ice cell? Should he tie him to his horse? But then he realizes there's only one thing to do, which is hang him. And, once he says that, for a moment, again, it looks like a fight may break out. But at the end, everyone stands down. And everyone kind of streams out into the courtyard, essentially, to see what's going to happen next. Like, I'm just picturing, like the scene from The Quiet Man with the big fight where the whole village kind of comes out, except much more morbid. And, there's men of the Night's Watch, there's Stannis' men, Val, and even Stannis himself. And we have the classic passage from this chapter. "This is wrong," Jon thought. "Stop." Emmett turned back, frowning. "My lord?" "I will not hang him," said Jon. "Bring him here." "Oh, Seven save us," he heard Bowen Marsh cry out. The smile that Lord Janos Slynt smiled then had all of the sweetness of rancid butter, until Jon said, "Ed, fetch me a block," and unsheathed Longclaw. I think the sweetness of rancid butter is, like, such a great line. Like,
Yeah.
Who can't picture that in their head? Like, it's just, oh, yeah.
Almost as good as vaguely heroic patina.
I mean, it's up there. So Slynt protests and tries to change his mind, but it's too late. Jon executes him, and Owen the Oaf almost immediately asks if he can have his boots, which like, reminds me of when anyone ever quits a job. Like,
Can I have a stapler? I have a
It's on the keyboard.
I get the hole punch.
right, like the vultures like immediately descend. And then, we have the moment that is like the ultimate delight of all the fanboys and fangirls everywhere. Jon glanced back at Stannis. For an instant their eyes met. Then the king nodded and went back inside his tower. And that's how the chapter ends. But it's like, oh, that nod. It's like the nod that launched 1,000 ships.
I have never heard of this ship. Really?
Well,
You haven't?
No.
Oh my god.
Good.
like actual Jon Stannis fanfic?
I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
sought it out. I can't.
Big time.
I mean, I don't think of them as like, like they're obviously not Jon and Davos, but there's totally a bromance.
Oh,
Big
it's
time.
Oh yeah, because there are a few lines too. It's like, what is it? One time Jon thinks like, what does he want me to do? Kiss him about Stannis? And I don't know.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
the characters, again, like the characters have chemistry because they're so perfect. They're perfect foils for each other, really, in a way. Because
Yeah.
The
both,
emo and the teeth grinder. My mind just never went there, I guess.
Well, they have such like they have these like pretty epic political like battles of the will, but at the same time they like each other. It's very clear that they begrudgingly like get and like one another, so it's like they're kind of at odds a lot of the time, but at the same time, they just you get these little scenes like the nod. I get why it's a ship. I totally get why it's a ship. I'm not saying I ship it, but I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Don't like it.
I mean, I don't
Do
want
not
them
care
to.
for
Oh, do you not want them to bang?
Make out. I don't really want them to bang, but I think they, They work well together. Anything else on this ship? On this ship.
I feel like this is like. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I feel like this is the phrase that keeps popping into my head when I read this chapter is like adulting like a boss.
Yeah.
Because this is sort of, and no one who ever says that is someone who's like an actual like grown ass man or whatever, but it's usually like a younger person who's like, yeah, I'm on my own, I'm doing my thing. That's kind of what Jon's doing here, basically. There are definitely like underlying problems that you'll see like as it goes along with his sort of leadership style, where he's kind of commanding the Night's Watch as he wants it to be and not how it actually is. Like in the Sam chapter where we see this from his perspective, you kind of see on the ground how a lot of his friends are pissed that he's become really remote and not really like engaging with people and stuff, because at this point, like the Night's Watch is so decrepit as an institution that you do have to have like,
the personal relationships got him elected. He kind of, I think like he takes, perhaps he takes the kill the boy too far, because he sends away Ed and Pip and Gren. Like he sends away these people that I think everyone on the watch kind of likes and could be advocates for him.
Yeah, all his support, like that plays a part in getting him killed. Like that, all of his support is gone. Nobody to back his plays whenever he makes his decisions on anything.
Well, and people always talk about how, like, oh, he's being too Ned here, he's being too Ned, but it's like, Ned actually did a really good job, like, cultivating personal relationships with his people. It's almost like the problem is he's trying to, like, imitate Stannis and just be this, like, hard ass who just rules through fear and an iron fist, but he isn't, like, experienced enough, I think, or maybe he doesn't have the temperament to quite work that way. And plus, House Baratheon, however cracked it is and however fractious his coalition has become, there's still some degree of prestige there. Like, the Night's Watch has basically just become a glorified penal colony at this point, so.
Well, and I think he's trying to, I hate to say rule, because it's not quite the right word, but I think he's trying to rule through, like, moral imperative, too, because, letting the wildlings through, doing some of these things is like the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And he's counting on that, and he's counting on that being enough to sway people. But, it's not like, no matter how right you are, I think you still have to do that grunt work, and that's the kind of work that people like Sam, that Gren, that Pip, like, that those people could do for him, and he just doesn't really have anyone. He doesn't have anyone to do that for him. And I wonder too, like how much of his leadership style is due to Mance as well, because Mance kind of ruled through, he ruled through his own charisma, but he also ruled through kind of the acknowledgement that there was this greater cause, and that was he rallied everyone behind the cause of getting on the other side of the wall to save everyone's lives, basically.
Well,
and I feel like Jon's taking a little bit of that.
I mean, yes. I mean, I think a lot of it is, throughout Dance, a lot of Jon's struggle is basically finding a way to bury the things that, Jon Snow, son of Ned Stark, wants to do for himself and his family, and kind of doing his duty. And I think, especially when you have the reference to, like, Tywin here, and yes, Stannis, the way that he's looking at how the kings are handling things, he's trying to do the kind of ice cold, get the emotions out of this. I just have to do the right thing for everybody, and I can't let any sort of personal whatever get into anything, which I think is actually part of the reason. I mean, like,
until
yes,
he
agrees to send Sam away, but he doesn't have to send Sam.
No.
He does it though. And I think it's because he is in a way trying to isolate himself from feeling those emotions. I think he doesn't want anyone near him that makes him feel soft throughout Dance. You kind of see him, trying to draw that line. And I think this is a big part of it. It's he kind of walls himself off from part of his human side, and in the end, that's what literally gets him killed.
And then the irony that there's no one left to, he kind of reacts, not overreacts, but he just doesn't have anyone to talk him down from.
Well, he
from
just
the
can't-
decisions he makes
he
at the
can't-
end.
I think what it comes down to, I'm sure what George is trying to say is that no Targaryen can stuff their emotions for this long. I think is kind of what the end of Dance was about, but
I hope not, because I mean, like, he's a Stark too. Like, there's, you know, like
Yeah.
that kind of annoys me as a woman to just be like, oh, he's a Targaryen, can't keep that.
no,
You know,
I mean, clearly
fire
he's a
shit
Stark.
down.
I mean, there's no question that there's a lot of Stark in there, but I think what George is going for is like, no Targaryen can behave this rationally for this long without finally letting, you know, what they personally want take over for a while, which is what happens at the end.
Well, and I mean, I don't know that his decision at the end is, you know, doesn't work out well, but I mean, it's like, it's not that irrational to be like, you know, yeah, my little sister is, you know, being held by, you know, a madman, and this is, you know, this is a terrible situation. I want to save my family. Like, yeah, you know, it goes against all of the rules, but you know, it's not an irrational decision, really. You know, it's really.
Well, it's not an irrational decision for a man, I guess. It's not a rational decision for a leader, would maybe be the way to put it.
Or a good leader, maybe, but yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Poor Jon. I mean, he's really, like, you just. You know, it's sometimes it's hard to read these chapters knowing what's going to happen, but it's sort of like, oh, he's just, you know, you kind of like, yeah, you can kind of feel like, oh, he's, you know, he's like, I think as Jake said, like, he's adulting, like, you know, he got his laundry done, he cooked some dinner, he did, you know, he balanced his checkbook, like, he's doing okay, you know, but, it's just, he's all, you know, he's kind of all alone, like, Demon kind of screwed him, like, honestly.
Well, I don't
way.
think intentionally.
No, absolutely not. But
I mean, he's in an impossible situation,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of the story, and that's part of it's kind of like what you were talking about with where, you know, like, he's not doing bad things or wrong things. I mean, like, it's not his fault that he can't convince the Night's Watch that they need to stop thinking of the wildlings as enemies. I mean, you know, it's not. He's stuck with.
There's even people on the ground.
He's stuck with a terrible situation here.
Yeah, there's even people on the ground right now, like, complaining that, like, oh, we have to build so much when the last guy was in charge, you know. But it's like, you realize your, like, fort is in ruins, and there's, like, a, you know, an army of, you know, walking dead coming to kill you all. Like, I don't know. It's still clear that, like, so many people, even within his own organization, don't understand what's going on, and it's how do you make that threat real to people before it hits, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, like, honestly, I don't know how much more these people need than what they've seen.
Well, look at the world we live in right now. Like, there's a great climate shift coming that, you know, people have been given a ton of evidence for, and they, you know, they,
Yeah.
hey, there's still food in the store, my AC still works, like, everything's fine. What's wrong, you know?
That's actually a very good analogy.
Very good.
Yeah.
Which is,
Frighteningly
you know,
astute and applicable.
As many of these chapters will be going forward, I suspect. Any other comments on this chapter before we get to the mail?
There is one thing I just wanted to point out. It's at the end. Like, when Slint starts, like, begging for his life or whatever after talking all that shit, there's a line passes where it's just, no thought, Jon. You closed that door.
Oh, I know. I thought about us. I still, you know, it still cracks me up when I think there are probably many people who have no idea what the name of this podcast means because
Kind of like
because it was. I know it makes it kind of mysterious that the line was, you know, never used in Game of Thrones, so therefore it's, you know, it's a mystery. It means nothing. I still wait, you know, I guess I still wait for the day that somehow that makes it into a script, but clearly it's never going to happen. Yeah. So, yeah, do we have any mail, Lot?
We have one big, juicy letter
Ooh.
came in through the email. So hope you guys like Hyle Hunt, because this is like all about Hyle.
Oh, really? Sweet.
So the letter begins, hey folks, my question's about Hyle Hunt. So I hope Kama is on this episode. I know she's a Hyle fan. Also, she's neat. Unfortunately, she's not, but we do agree she's neat. You'll have to put up with us, sorry. Anyways, Hyle is one of my favorite side characters and is one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of Brienne's feast arc. I love his sarcasm and his humor at appropriate times. I love his opportunism and how he's always searching for an angle. And then she quotes, "Hanging seems your favorite sport in these parts," said Sir Hyle Hunt. "Would that I have had land whereabouts, I'd plant hemp, sell rope, and make my fortune." He's an entrepreneur. That's my line. So I love the ways in which he comes off as a diet Jaime. I love that in a series filled with melodramatic evil, we have a character whose greatest wrong that we know of is more mundane, still bad, but more relatable to real-world experiences. And I love that he saves Sam from drowning, amongst other things. But as of now, his character and purpose in the series is at an impasse. Hyle is supplementary to Brienne and meant to contrast with the men in her life that she does fall in love with, and then, Renly, Jaime, though Renly was in love, show that she is desirable to others as a catch, highlight her insecurities and the way she works through her issues with men, sexism, and sexism. So my question is, what do you see happening with Hyle in Winds? And then she has some theories, but let's see what you guys think first, I think. Any theories?
Well, Guile thinks he's dead. You think he's dead, don't you, Guile?
Well, I kind of think he's dead, but I do think he's dead, but I also think he could play a foil for Jaime. That would be really fun to write. And, George has been yapping a lot about Lady Stoneheart lately, so maybe it's not just like a one and done kind of one pager thing in Winds. Like maybe there is something more in depth, so maybe he will be alive for longer. But yeah, I just feel like there has to be some consequences to, them getting captured, and I feel like Hyle is the consequence.
Mm. I agree. I do. I kind of am a big Hyle fan myself. Yeah. But I agree.
I mean, I love Hyle. Like, yeah, I don't love him for Brienne. I don't think Brienne should be with him. No. I don't think any of that. But, Hyle could be a good guy, and he is totally diet Jaime. That's a great description.
Or Jaime Light. I think we've referred to him as that as well.
We call him Jaime Light a lot. I mean, I think he's alive. Just FYI, I do think he's alive.
I hope you're right.
I mean, like. I feel like he's probably one of those people who'll just kind of fade into
actually
the
plant his hemp and make some have some edibles.
Yeah, he's the kind of 80% asshole who comes out of everything fine.
And I know that's your jam is 80% asshole.
I don't hate Hyle. I
know.
Obviously I'm mad at him on Brienne's behalf, but I don't think he's a horrible person. He's a lot worse than Hyle in A Song of Ice and Fire. That's for goddamn sure.
That's what kills me is when I read these long treatises on how horrible Hyle is. I'm like, oh my god, Hyle's in their top
I'm
10%.
Always you can spot somebody who's only read the Jaime Brienne chapters by how mad they are about Hyle.
Guys, I think she has mentioned this a bit too, but my favorite Hyle moment is when they're carrying him away to be hung, and he's like, "I'll do it. I'll kill Jaime."
Which, I mean, who among us wouldn't be I'm not in love with them.
Give me a sword. I'll do it. I'm your man.
And also, Hyle is the underrated George Bailey of A Song of Ice and Fire. If you think of, George saved his brother, and his brother saved the men on that ship. If George hadn't saved Harry, Harry wouldn't have been alive to save them. So, Hyle saved Sam. Sam might save the whole frickin' world.
So ergo, Hyle Hunt
save the world.
Right.
Hyle Hunt, savior of the world. I'll bet this is not where the person who sent that letter expected this conversation to go.
I will say that I feel like the fact that obviously there are many very obvious fun nicknames to call someone named Hyle Hunt does make me think that he will survive long enough for Jaime to meet him, if only for Jaime to purposely mispronounce his or misname him in insulting ways. If he's not called Hyle Hunt at some point, I don't know if we're reading the same books. Clearly there should be 100% chance of that happening.
So That's good. So she finishes the letter with, "Thanks for reading. My next question will probably be about Tyrion, who I've really come to appreciate as a character over my reread. So I don't know if she's been listening along, but sorry if you're catching up now." So I hope that won't be too much of a damper on your break from the Twisted Monkey Demon right now. Okay, so I guess she is caught up. Have a nice day, night existence.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I like that. That was
Really
good.
cute.
Any other Hyle Hunt thoughts, anyone? Other than that, he's awesome.
No, good. Okay.
I love that we left like very little room for other thoughts.
Yeah, I know. Like, sorry about that. We're very strong opinions about Hyle Hunt of all characters.
Only this podcast.
The official podcast of Hyle Hunt. We might, we're as close as there is to an official podcast of Hyle Hunt. I'm just going to say it. Well, all right, ladies and occasional gentlemen, I think that's it.
Gentlemans. No, sorry. Gentleman is plural,
yeah.
I know, but man sounds great.
Man's is more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
We love getting your comments. You can write to us at I was going to say this. Okay, my brain is completely mentally fried at this point because I was literally going to say you can write to us at killtheboy@gmail.com. God, what is happening?
I don't know.
Actually,
But
you can.
I wonder if someone has that.
Yeah, you can specifically not write to us at that address. You can, however, send us email to closethedoorand@gmail.com. You can find us at Tumblr at Close the Door and Come Here, on Twitter at Door Podcast, and Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and all the places. And if you're super, super special, you can become our Patreon, and you receive special benefits, including early episodes and special releases. And with that, ladies and occasional gentlemen, I'm going to close the door. Get out.
Ooh, that was fun.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do, Chicky, is I never asked why you picked this chapter, which probably would have been a really good question for the start of the episode. Sorry.
Oh, I just love Jon so much, and I feel like this is peak Jon right here.
Oh, it was so nice to, talk about a different storyline and different, a different POV. Just, wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the rest of these.
All the shit, yeah.
Did he really have to tell Gilly to burn her hand in a candle?
Oh, that's totally gratuitous. I completely agree.
Yeah, very unnecessary.
I meant to bring that up, and I totally forgot.
Unnecessary candle burning.
That seems like something he practiced in his head, where he's like, "Yeah, and that'll get her to think about how hot it's going to be when the kid's burning alive." Like that, she needs that association to get it together.
I'm sure she has no familiarity with fire.
Right?
And then there's the line, you saved your boy from the ice, save hers from fire. I imagine George wrote that and kicked his feet up, put his hands behind his head, and was like, "Yep, that's it."
Oh, this is totally going in as a bonus clip at the end of this episode.
He's got